Hello and welcome to another episode of Ross on Cars. I'm Ross Furlong and this is an Aston Martin DBS Superleggera. So first of all, massive thanks to Pietro at Aston Martin in Mayfair who lent us this DBS Superleggera. You might have seen the Vanquish film that we made a few weeks ago, and Pietro thought it'd be interesting for us to compare this, the latest flagship model from Aston Martin, against the Vanquish. Now, Superleggera is an Italian name. It comes from the coach builder that helped David Brown build the DB4, DB5, DB6 back in the 60s. The designer of this car, of course, is Marek Reichman, who also designed the Vanquish and the DBS that appeared in the Bond movies Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. And in fact, it's very exciting to hear that this DBS will be in the latest James Bond movie, No Time to Die, coming out at the end of September. Now, many believe this to be Marek Reichman's finest hour when it comes to design. It's certainly a leaner and meaner version of the DB11. Interestingly, he managed to achieve the highest downforce on any production Aston Martin in this car with 180 kgs. And the way he managed to do that informs a lot of the design. So, if you look through these back windows here, these are actually vents for the air coming through. And these go all the way down into this back spoiler area here with these aero blades. They're doing some very clever stuff dealing with the air coming down the car. They've also got some F1 style double diffusers on the bottom here, which again increase the downforce on the car. Other design changes from the DB11 you can see here are the tail lights, which is a little different. And also we've got quad exhaust at the back here. And one design feature that's been much talked about is the change from the badge to this Aston Martin lettering. Now, I understand that in somewhere like China, they're not so familiar with the badge, so the lettering's kind of needed, if you like, to introduce the brand over there, which is the main reason for doing it, as I understand it. The wheels on this car are bigger, so you've got 21-inch wheels. These ones are optional extras, so we've got 10 double-spoke black gloss wheels with carbon ceramic brakes, and you've got some optional red brake calipers in there, which I always think is a nice touch when they're tied in with the stitching, which we'll see in a little while. Whole car is carbon fibre, including the roof. And down here you've got these curly cues, which we first saw in the DB11, which are to do with taking the air pressure off the back of the tyre, means that the front doesn't lift quite so much under acceleration. The front of the car, this DBS has got a massive, massive grille, much bigger than the DB11. Carbon splitter at the bottom. And also it's got these much larger vents here, which are more central. DB11, these vents are over on that side. And it's got this very lovely Superleggera writing here, it's sort of 60s retro, which I very much like on this car. So I really like the way this bonnet comes up from this end. It's very stylish, feels very retro. To reveal, the now famous V12 5.2 twin turbo. We know all about this engine from the DB11, but here it's been tweaked. So it's up to 715 brake horsepower from 608. That brings the 0 to 60 time down from 3.8 to 3.4 seconds, and it's good for a top speed of 211 miles an hour. Now you can, if you want, choose the jewellery pack for this engine, so you can put all sorts of shiny stuff on it if you want. But you can fully understand, looking at this, why Aston Martin described this car as the brute in the suit. So here inside the DBS you really can see why Q would issue these to his MI5 operatives. It is licensed to thrill in here, I have to say. One thing I'd say about the doors before I close one is that they're slightly tilted, so not only do you not hit them on the curb when you get out, but also from the front you've got this kind of sense of the Aston Martin badge, the aesthetic, which is very nice. So they close with a reassuringly expensive thud. And here you are. So it does feel very familiar to my Vanquish here. You're kind of sat in a cockpit, pretty much, sort of looking down the engine front there. It's got a square steering wheel, similar to the Vanquish, though it's been slightly modernised and possibly slightly rounded off here. You've got familiar gearbox controls up here, so this is the same as my Vanquish PR neutral and drive, sort of for the gearbox. And then this whole area here is now Mercedes tech, so it's taken it up a little bit from mine. You know, it's more modern. There's a bigger screen. It doesn't fold out of the dashboard in quite the same lovely way as mine, but it's still a very good unit there. And it's got this kind of Mercedes control unit, which is familiar to anybody who's been driving Mercedes in recent years. This car has some very good leather in it. This leather is taken from very high-end Scottish cows, apparently, who long-haired, so they have fewer kind of mosquito bites and those sorts of things. So the leather is very, very smooth, and this has the optional triaxial quilting on it with the chili stitch, as they call it, which is a very, very nice thing. I have to say, it's a bit like Bentley, I guess, as well. This is a very, very, very lovely interior here. One thing that I do have on the Vanquish, which I really like, is this Bang & Olufsen speaker setup, where when you turn the speakers on, the speakers come out of the dashboard. So they've kept that. It was a very popular feature on the last one, apparently. And it's also got a big speaker in the back here, and it's got speakers high up here. So the sound quality in here is superb, as you'd expect from Bang & Olufsen. In the back, we've got Isofix seats. So really, I mean, this is a family car. You could take this anywhere, you know, people with very short legs perhaps in the back. But seriously speaking, I mean, this is a very, very comfortable car. I am quite tall, I'm 6'5", but I feel very comfortable in this. I'd be very happy to drive it to Monaco or Saint-Tropez or something, you know, which is, I suppose, the place you might be taking this. And it'd be good for a few hundred miles easy. So one thing that's very familiar to me from my Vanquish on this car are these two buttons here, the sports button and the sports suspension button. But on this car, on this 715 brake horsepower car, these make quite a difference, and I'll show you more what I mean when we get out on the road. But I think it's time we took this baby for a spin. Right, so here we are in the DBS Superleggera, and the first thing I noticed in this car compared to my Vanquish is that it feels more of a sports car than a GT car in a way, only in that you can hear and feel the performance of the car from the outset. There's just a little bit more engine noise feedback and soundtrack from the exhaust that you can kind of just get that sense that this car's a little bit special from a sporting point of view. I'm just in GT mode at the moment. You can go into 3 modes. There's GT, which is sort of bowling along, and crucially, I think Aston Martin have geared this so that maximum torque is available between 1800 and 5000 revs, so you get 663 foot-pounds of torque, which means the car does take off even in GT mode at quite low speeds, perfect for a Grand Tourer, you know. But again, it does feel, my Vanquish can sort of do that party trick, but it sort of has to be in sports mode and sports suspension mode to get into that sort of realm of performance. Whereas with this, you've got 2 more modes, so you can go into sport like this, and all of a sudden you get higher revs, quicker response, a bit of burble from the exhaust. The soundtrack increases depending on which mode you're in. So I'm getting some nice noises now. And then if that isn't fast enough for you, there's Sports Plus mode. Now this is where this car starts to become a bit of a hooligan. I mean, it really is just mind-bendingly fast in Sports Plus mode. Really, just I was driving this car on the motorway and on dual carriageways yesterday, and occasionally, you know, you come off onto a motorway, you need to accelerate to get up to speed with the other cars. And this thing, you sort of pick a space and it basically shoots you into it, so you're getting blatted towards the horizon. It's so fast, even by the time you've arrived there, you're already having to back off because it's just so fast. I mean, on these country roads, you can't really do it any sort of justice, certainly not in Sports Plus mode. Say at this point that it's got brilliant brakes. I mean, carbon ceramic 16-inch brakes, 6 calipers on the front, 4 on the back, and that slows the car down very, very quickly, which is gratifying really, because it accelerates very, very quickly. It's got a new gearbox in it, 8-speed gearbox. You're always in the right ratio in this car. It takes all the work from you. You don't need to have to. There are some very big flappy paddles here, which I haven't used yet, but you know, the computer will do everything you need it to when it's in auto mode. amazing, amazing machine. I mean, you can just imagine in GT mode here, just bowling down to the south of France, spend some of your bitcoins, and it would be a very, very civilized way of traveling. Well, it's a lovely sunny day. It's dry, crucially, so I think I might just go for a bit of a drive. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video about the DBS Superleggera. If you did, press like down below. We've got some amazing cars coming up, so it'd be fantastic if you subscribe to the channel as well. And if by any chance you're interested in this car, we'll leave some contact details for Pietro at Aston Martin Mayfair down below. I've been Ross on Cars. See you next time.